The worst recording take I've ever seen. Okay, maybe we got one more here. Let's see. Weave, what do you think of GNX sonically? I honestly only listened to the whole thing through one time, and then like I just listened to a few songs from it other than that.
The internet is chock full of producers, engineers, and mixers who just have to get their takes off. And while some hot takes are actually insightful or worthy of discussion, there are some
This guy's mannerisms kind of freak me out.
floating around that make your weird uncle's Thanksgiving dinner rant seem normal. And if I had to see them, then so do you. So let's take a look at some of the weirdest and worst recording takes that I've had the displeasure of reading.
Okay, let's see. This actually sounds interesting.
This video is brought to you by the Producer Planner. So if your New Year's resolution...
This guy had a weird video before. I can't remember what it was. This guy definitely plays well. That's, yeah. You should buy another one of those shirts and throw them both into trash.
Is to be more productive and finish more tracks. The Producer Planner can help. So learn more about this custom planner for music producers at the link in the description. And then let's get into the takes. So the first take is one that I hear all the time, that Pro Tools is on its way out. And this is something...
I don't know if it's on its way out, but it's just garbage. Nah, garbage is kind of strong. It's just overpriced. It's like Adobe, except Adobe doesn't really have good competition. You know, like Adobe's still like pretty much top of the line for a lot of things. But Pro Tools has tons of competition that's like shitting on them. You know, it's different.
That I've been hearing for a decade plus. It seems like every year, Pro Tools just has another year or two left.
Okay, if Pro Tools is so fucking good, why do so many people use Reaper instead that would normally use Pro Tools? Why do so many people use other DAWs? I mean, I'm not saying people don't use it, but I'm saying like their business model and also like the fact that they kind of like don't really like keep up with what's going on around them is why people say that. Pro Tools is still necessary unless you quit the business, but it has its drawbacks. It depends what you're doing specifically, I would say. Right, Tony?
Left before
Reaper's user-friendly. Oh, that's a good one.
It crashes and burns. And as a loyal Pro Tools user myself, I'm a bit biased, so I got a gut check from my Instagram followers. And it turns out 69% of you guys agree with me. Nice. And while Pro Tools has had worthy challengers over the years, the truth is there's a pretty big gap between being the top dog and being totally irrelevant. Even if Pro Tools market share...
This video paid for in part by Pro Tools.
...falls in the future, it's not like it's going to drop off the face of the earth. If there is room for Digital Performer, Cubase, and BandLab, there will always be room for Pro Tools too. Now,
okay. I mean, I feel like if you're going to talk about that, you got to talk about the subscription. You got to talk about the subscription.
Next up is one that I found on Threads, and it's a real head scratcher. This user wants us to believe that you're doing something wrong if you have 40 plus tracks in your project.
Okay, come on, dude. Come on. I mean, I'm not saying they all should have that many, but like sometimes there's a lot of layers, man, especially in like pop tracks.
This one is somewhat genre dependent, but I personally don't think that 40 is even that many, especially if you're working with live instruments. Typically, I'll have 10 plus tracks.
Bro, that shirt is crazy. Actually, I wasn't really noticing that. You gotta talk about that nasty ass shirt. What do you think of this shirt? Hey babe, what do you think of this shirt? Does this shirt look totally sick? Look, it's two dragons fighting. This dragon shooting lightning out of its mouth, and the other dragon, it's biting its wing. I love that shirt too, but ironically, I love that shirt ironically, that's for sure.
Typically, I'll have 10 plus tracks just for the drum kit, a few for percussion, 2 to 3 for every layer of guitars. Basically, a full production to fit into 40 tracks is kind of rare for me. And most of y'all agreed, with a solid 86% saying that this take is whack. Nice work, everyone. Now let me know what your highest track count has been, because I'm curious if I'm the only one breaking 40 like very consistently. Now this next take is a bit more contentious, and it comes to us courtesy of the music production subreddit. This producer wants you to know that most of your mix issues are just bad songwriting and production. Now the thought that a good song is easier to mix is something I've seen a lot lately, and I'm gonna call this one half true. If good songs were truly easiest to mix, then we wouldn't have albums by popular and established artists where the mixing is called into question.
That's true. I mean, sometimes it's like a stylistic choice too, though. Like, I remember people were complaining about Odd Futures mixing when they first came on the scene. I remember people were calling into question like Odd Futures mixing. Let's see. Trying to think of a song that's like really badly mixed by them. Well, what do you guys think is like the worst mixed Odd Future song? 100K? Is that a name of one of their songs? Maybe Earl.
The buffering mids, ash rock eating applesauce.
I mean, yeah, this is not the best mix, but it's not like awful either. Earl wasn't bad. I'm trying to think what is like a really bad like mixed Odd Future song. I can't think of any off the top of my head. There's tons of huge tunes with mixes people hate.
Opinion, yes. I find that
Earl Sweatshirt, it's so good. You think Oldie has a bad mix?
Great songs I've worked on are easier to mix, but they're also usually written by people who are better at their instruments, better at performing, and are working with better engineers too. The whole production is...
I think a lot of it's like genre. Like for instance, like a dubstep song with a horrible mix or even a bad mix will never be popular, right? But there's plenty of rap songs with terrible mixes that are popular.
Just woke up, taking a dump, take my money. Dude has a banging Ed Hardy shirt.
Is that an Ed Hardy shirt? I don't know shit about Ed Hardy. Hey, thank you, America Ryder. Appreciate that, man.
Elevated when pros are working on it. But that said...
Okay, wait. I feel like this shirt could be dope if you're wearing it ironically, but I feel like this guy's not wearing it ironically. I feel like when you wear stuff ironically, like you can't wear it all the time.
There are great songs with mix issues galore.
Also, like pop songs generally have good mixes unless it's like hyper pop.
The thing is, we're more likely to look past a so-so mix when the song is great. But top-level mixers who are working on hit songs still put a ton of effort into creating compelling mixes that sound incredible. And even the not-so-great songs they mix are usually sonically very high quality. And it seems like Half True is...
VCR, the second part by Tyler. Wait, hold on. Okay. Yeah, and the one thing that's funny about the fake plant is like it's like in the way of the keyboard too. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but sometimes the mix is too clean. Bro, that's all country songs. All country songs... Okay, yeah, this is a bad mix, dude. Who told Weaver to pull this song up?
Probably.
Don't worry, we're just playing for a second.
This take ended up being a bit of a tie, with 44% of you guys agreeing with it. But allow me to remix this take, because if we swap in the word arrangement, then I would fully agree.
Thank you for being my #1 source of the music production news.
Thank you, Nuglord. My pleasure. It's not easy, but someone has to do it. So do other people have to do it too. A lot of people do it, really.
Songwriting and production is so subjective, but mixing a song that's arranged in a way that's not conducive to an easy mix, if that makes sense, well, that's definitely a challenge. Now, next up is a real screamer of a take, in my opinion, which is that people who do top-down mixing will never reach the next level. If you're not familiar,
I've never done top-down mixing.
Arranged in a way that's not conducive to an easy mix, if that makes sense, well, that's definitely a challenge. Now, next up is a real screamer of a take, in my opinion, which is that...
No, fuck that.
People who do top...
Like, I mean, his presentation, I'm still not a big fan of, but I think this idea for a video... What am I saying? I used to do this fucking video. I used to do this series like fucking years ago. God damn it, dude. But I am enjoying this more.
Will never reach the next level. If you're not familiar, top-down mixing is when you start your mix by processing on the master bus and then
That's so stupid. How do you know what's going to be on the master bus other than a limiter? I hope to God you're not slapping on like a fucking multi-band compressor, a glue compressor, EQing and shit, a limiter and clipping, and then you're starting your mix, because that's fucking insane and you need to be locked up.
Individual instrument and vocal buses working on bigger groups of sounds before getting surgical with individual tracks if needed. It's a fairly new way of working, and it prioritizes getting a solid mix quickly without too many headaches. Now, a huge majority of mixers came up working the traditional way, so it is fair to expect...
Yeah, so I went to audio engineering school, and like they would like probably you if you told them you were going to do this. You would be dead.
That a majority of the household name engineers are not employing top-down mixing techniques, but that doesn't mean that it's not a valid method. So I believe in a few years, or maybe decades, there will be plenty of big name mixers banging the drum of top-down mixing. Think of it like the three-point shot in basketball.
I don't know what it is about this guy's delivery that bothers me. Can somebody explain it? I can't figure out what it is.
Or maybe decades, there will be plenty of big name mixers banging the drum of top-down mixing. Think of it like the
It's not, I don't even know if that's patronizing. It's something to do with his mannerisms.
Point shot in basketball. When it first came into the league, basically nobody was shooting threes. Established players finished their careers playing the old-fashioned.
Comparing top-down mixing to shooting a three that's a bit different. That's a bit different, I feel like. I don't know if that's a valid comparison.
Way. But younger players who came up with the three-point line, well, they utilized it more and more. And kids who are growing up now watching Steph.
I guess maybe it's like he seems nervous, but he doesn't have like nervous mannerisms, if that makes sense. It's like I see like a nervousness in his face. I don't know, something like that when you're reading a prompter.
Curry are going to be developing that skill from a young age.
Just something seems like slightly off. I can't really put my finger on it though.
So does that mean that top-down mixing is the way of the future? Maybe. It may end up being a fad too and never really catching on, but don't be surprised if it has its breakout moment and the next
really knows these days mixing is subjective and there's still uncharted waters. Most of the signature things through music history come from breaking the status. Well, that's true. Top-down mix is old as fuck, like early electro dubstep days. That's one thing I do notice that's more common in electronic music.
Crop of young big mixers employs it more and more. Now this take only scored.
He's reading a script, yeah. Honestly, I've been considering getting a teleprompter too, because it's faster. Like if you have a script, it's just faster. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't always write scripts though. Like I don't for my news videos, but like for like a more like creative video, I generally write a script.
A 25% with you guys, so it is a certified hot one for sure.
Don't do it, that would suck. I mean, sometimes I don't like read it off the screen, but like when I have a script, I will like memorize it.
Next opinion from Threads really got me heated, and I thought it was a slam dunk of a hot take. Apparently, you can put as much EQ as you need on a $100 mic, and it will eventually sound like a $5,000 mic with a little practice and work.
Okay, that's a real hot take, dude. That's a real hot take.
And because of that, the mic is the least important part of the recording process. Now, I was ready for this to be a slam dunk, an open and shut case. Certified trash take. I mean, we've got to consider EQ for sure, but that's just one part of a mic's sound. How does it handle off-axis sounds? How much detail is it capturing across the different frequency ranges? What's the transient response? How fast is it in capturing attack? This isn't stuff you can just change with EQ. For example, take a look at this guitar recording I recently did with a dynamic and a ribbon mic. You think you're replicating that different?
Were you recording both of them at the same time though? I need more information, dude. Were you recording both of them at the same time? Where were they placed?
With an EQ? But y'all have me this close to deleting my whole account and moving to a cabin in the woods because
yeah, there's something robotic about his delivery. Because like this is actually what he's saying here. That's actually kind of funny.
This close to deleting my whole account.
Like it just doesn't sound authentic when he says like, you have me this close to deleting my account and moving to a cabin in the woods. You know, like it's like, it just, I don't know. He looks like Nick Swartzen.
Moving to a cabin in the woods.
He kind of does, actually. What happened to this guy? He put on a lot of weight, I feel like, in his face. He put a lot of, like, face weight. He kind of looks... Okay, they kind of have a similar face, maybe.
Because 47% of y'all agreed with the original...
Yeah, he's a little bit of a new creator. He's got 10,000 subs.
...take. Now, I kind of get it because we don't all have access to a bunch of different gear, and not everyone is listening for the complete picture. And yes, of course, you can make great, usable sounding recordings with budget gear. But to pretend that you can use just EQ to make a handheld dynamic mic sound like a large diaphragm condenser or a ribbon mic to sound like a dynamic.
That is, okay, that's a good point. The different types of mics will be a little bit different. Like the way they record is different.
To me, that's just nonsense. But if that wasn't bad enough, I'm actually in the minority on the next one. because according to
Wait, what was the results of that? Oh shit, that was pretty split. I mean, it kind of depends. Like I think like especially when you're talking about different types of microphones, yeah, it's gonna handle it like everything differently.
Over here, you can mix on any loudspeaker once you learn how they sound in your space relative to references. And they mean anything, any speaker. Now this is just absurd to me, but I think the more I think about it, I have an explanation. So hear me out. See, most people are working in rooms that are not acoustically treated.
Didn't we hear last time that it's bad to like completely deaden your room like this? Like it's like bad for the highs, right?
Are not acoustically treated. They've never optimized their monitor position, figured out what 85 decibels actually sounds like from their speakers. Their mix position is all wrong.
That is true. That's the optimal listening volume.
Basically, the whole thing's an acoustic abomination.
Wait, hold on. What am I looking at here? Well, it's definitely not good. I don't know exactly what I'm looking at, but that's definitely not good. It's far from flat.
And if that's the case, yeah, you can upgrade your speakers 100 times and your mixes may not really improve. And that's because the limiting factor in that case is the room. Upgrade your speakers all they want. They can't defeat physics. But in an ideal acoustic...
Bro, you know what trips me out? Tony, I'm curious about your opinion. Okay, they're not doing it here, but you know how people will turn... I started wanting to be from top down. Wait, unironically though, I want to hear your opinion. So he has them the right way here, where the tweeters on the outside. You ever see people where they put the tweeters on these Yamahas on the inside? What is that about? What is that about? Like, unironically, like, I need to hear your opinion on that, because that blows my mind whenever I see it. I'm like, why do you want the tweeters on the inside? You mean the thing you want wide, usually, the treble? You got that on the inside, and you got the...
defeat physics. But in an ideal acoustic environment, the difference between speakers is a lot more obvious. But about speakers, the fact is you can't mix what you can't hear.
It was a British thing?
If your speakers aren't producing frequencies that exist in the real world, you can match the reference tracks all day, but your mix will...
Yeah, tweeter should be on the outside. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't make sense, because then you have the thing producing the low and mids on the outside. I don't know. It blows my mind when I see it. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense. Are you trolling me? You're trolling me right now.
Have massive holes in it that the reference might not.
Oh, I don't even remember that you did that, Sock Monkey, but I see them once in a while like that, and I'm always like, maybe I'm wrong. Like...
So in my opinion, this take can go right...
Yeah, he's, you know what, I'll speed him up a bit. We can get through this. We can get through this.
In the dumpster, but 76% of y'all...
Mix on any loudspeaker once you know how they sound in your space relative to references. I mean... Kinda. Yeah, I think kinda. I mean, I still think there's definitely some stuff like... It's not going to be perfect, but you could definitely have a pretty good to decent mix if you have good ears.
Agree with the original take. Now, I don't want to throw any shade at anyone in particular, but lots of folks who have told me there's no difference between the best top tier speakers and mixing on a laptop speaker, well, their mixes haven't usually dazzled me, but still 76%, my day's ruined. My disappointment is immeasurable. But that's not even the worst take I read today. So before I give up, let's get to a palate cleanser. One of the more oddball takes that I found is that mono objectively sounds better than stereo, which certainly...
That's a troll comment. Look, come on, let's be honest. That's a troll comment, dude.
Something. I will say that some classic albums that were originally mixed in mono do sound really great. And the stereo remasters that came later lost a little bit of mojo. So in a way, this take has some merit. But to just say that mono is overall better than stereo, just no. And 88% of y'all disagreed with this one and agreed with me.
The 12% people were trolling.
So to me, there's not really anything left to say about this one. But another certified...
Yeah, I'm starting to lose me on this one here. We're almost done, though.
Take is that mastering is ridiculously overhyped. And I just have to ask, overhyped by who? You need to have your songs mastered, or at least you should. You can do it yourself if you want. You can skip it if you really want to, and sure, it'll end up getting level matched inside Spotify, probably. But having a top...
Probably. What do you mean? Well, I guess probably technically because you can turn it off, but...
level mastering engineer isn't even that expensive. And learning how to do at least a half decent master yourself...
I don't know, dude. The one I hired for that video, what's his fucking name? I think it was Chris Athens. It was like $200, dude, for one song, for one fucking song, dude. I don't know. That's pretty I would say that's pretty fucking expensive, but there are people who do it for like 50 or 60.
Isn't an impossible task, and it will make a big difference. Now, 73% of y'all agree that this take is not it. So that's good. Faith in humanity, restore. Now, there was another 73 to 27 vote that was pretty brain busting. And that's the take that Neumann mics and anything with a ribbon stopped being relevant when tape died. And I have to ask, what does that even mean? Now, I'd argue that Neumann mics, especially
I'll mix your song for 200. I got a master plan.
Mics and ribbon mics are actually more useful with the advent of digital, since it does add some color to the signal chain. I mean, I never really worked with tape.
All right, I think I'm done with this guy. See, the part of the problem is here, though. I don't know what we're gonna do next. I've run out of videos here, essentially, but fuck it.